It's the Black Real Estate Dialogue. Tune in. Tune in. Tune in. Tune in.
You hear people always talk about generational wealth, right? Like
Hmm.
my children and my descendants, what they're going to inherit. I
Hmm.
believe, and I'm telling people, we're talking about transformational wealth. And what I mean by transformational is I mean you're transferring wealth. So my brother, when he wanted to buy a house when I was in college, I gave him money towards his down payment. My other brother, he wanted to buy a house, gave him money towards a down payment. My other brother, he was doing some property management. I told him, look, you should get your real estate license because then when we buy property, I can teach you, show you the ropes. When I do $1 million deal, you're going to get 3%. Why we can keep the money in the neighborhood. So therefore, it's being transferred sideways, transfer, and it's transformational. So now, when I get to go see him, I greet him, and the whole family's happy because I'm helping put money on the table, and people are not greedy. We're all going to build together. So that's what I mean by transformational wealth. And you also include them in the will because you're like, look, when you work for you don't just work for the company. This is our company. This is a business. We're transforming the way we look at the world. And so also one of my aunts, she does cleaning. I said, look, why am I going to outsource? You love to clean. We could start like a cleaning business collaboration. You're going to clean all the properties. I'm going to pay you in advance, a year in advance or what have you. So you know you have that income coming and I know you're going to be reliable. So people always are afraid to hire friends and family. I said, don't hire all of them. Many are called, but few are chosen. So what you have to do is figure out which ones you can work with. And I think it's very big if you're interested in transformational wealth because once you understand transformational wealth, then I think you can understand substantial wealth. And that means that you're going to be worth anywhere between 15 million or more. We're not talking about just leaving a house for a little John and JJ for $1 million. We're talking about substantial wealth and transformational wealth.
I like it. I like it. And you know, it, for some reason in the Black community, there's we don't want to work with each other. We don't want to work, especially with family. But I
I
think
love
just
family.
that I mean, same. Like I think who else can you trust? Obviously, you want to make sure they have some other competence and they're going to be serious about what it is you're doing. But who better to trust? Who else to, provide income for to help them take care of themselves and their own families? I mean, in my mind, it's
Hard to
clear.
develop.
Yeah.
Like my niece as well. I have a niece who's one of my interns for KJ Consulting. She said, I don't even like real estate, uncle. I said, I don't give a damn. This is about transformational wealth. I don't want you ever saying, no one ever taught me about how to be successful in real estate. No one ever taught me how to run a startup. This is your turn. This is your time. Now you can hate me later, but you're signed up. So too bad. I'll talk to you later, boo boo. And so that is the way I think we have to do it because we're willing to do nonprofit work for Big Sister and all those different things to spend time in investing in other kids that give up on our advice. Why not do that with your own family members?
Yep.
And so I'm really big on that. But we also have an intern that's not a family member. But I spent a lot of time trying to cultivate this idea of transformational wealth and transformational education and substantial wealth. And I think that that needs to be passed across generations and also down and up. My stepmom works for me. She's 70 something.
Definitely. So can you tell us about? 'Cause I remember you earlier you mentioned you just were kind of compiling single family homes and then you kind of stepped up to apartments, I believe. So can you talk about the
Yes.
transition from single family to apartments?
Yes. So what I think is very, very important is before you jump around, and I know they say that hole over there, you want to be a thought. I think you should just slow down, get to really know the one sector at a time. So I spent a lot of time understanding single families. So I got to see it from point A to point Z. And what I mean by that, we're learning how to rehab them. I had ones that were foreclosed, short sales. I had a house burned down. I had all these different issues that I really became really good at it. And I was able to show the banks that I know how to identify these assets, refi them, and get them rented out. After I did that the ninth time, and I had the money sitting aside, I was able to have a conversation with the bank and say, look, I really want to get big. Now, I've been really good at these single families. I've been hitting these singles out the park. So now I want to go to the NBA. And so they're like, okay, KR, so what do you have in vision? I said, look, here's my team. I already have a team of realtors, cleaning team, contractors. My team, we're ready. And so then we start with something small. Like I bought like a 6-unit and I bought like the triplex. And I was able to apply the best practices that I learned from over the years just doing single families. I applied it to my triplex. I applied it to my 5-unit. I applied it to my 6-unit. Those things got up and running. And once you hit it, you like, oh, I'm hitting my stride. I have the best practices, handing out how you clean stuff. We already know how we're gonna screen all the tenants. I'm like, oh, this thing is like butter now. Before it used to be like cutting a brick with a knife, but now this thing's like butter. And so I was able to transition up because I already had the team and the best practices in place and understood the market. And I also had relationships with the banks. And so I think that made my transition much easier. And now my largest one I bought, the last one was 24 unit. And so I was able to go from single, when I bought one single, now I'm in a 24 league. And it's amazing to be able to say now you're buying like close to $2 million properties and you're managing it. So we manage 85 of the properties in the Philadelphia area. We're probably one of the largest Black-owned property managers in that area. And also, I know I'm one of the largest, if not the largest, real estate landlord in Darby, which is one of the counties outside of Philly. And it's just believing in yourself and just taking a risk. But we put the best practices in place, and we treat every tenant as if we're getting in a relationship, because you coming in, you messing with my baby. Like you think about your children or people you love. When you see your child walk down the street, that's your heart walking down the street. When I see my apartment buildings, when I walk by, that is my heart right there. So I'm thinking about that. So I take it very seriously.
Definitely, definitely. And one of the things that I'm picking up throughout the interview, and that I really appreciate, and I really want people to spend some time thinking about it. You develop expertise in one thing at a time. Like you spent a good number of years with a single family, just making sure you knew that well, establishing the banking relationships, and then you kind of leveled up. A lot of people see, I guess, like the big fish or like the big piece of chicken, right? They see like that 200-300 unit building or whatever, and they want to go straight for that, not realizing that you can kind of progress your way up to that. And obviously, you're showing that is very possible if you just kind of stick to it and just take it a step at a time.
Yeah, I agree. And I tell people, if you do what's necessary, then do what's possible, you'll find yourself doing the impossible. Again, that's if you do what's necessary. Just understand what you have, your income, realize that maybe single family, whatever it is for you, do it really well. Then do a little bit extra. So you want to become the property manager and the owner. So you're going to really learn all this stuff, become a master. Then before you know, you're going to do the impossible. So a lot of people will just jump to 150 units overnight, but they own very little. So my 105 units, I own over 80% of it. And so myself, I'm walking around worth millions, not 500,000, not 1 million, not 2 million, not 3 million, not 4 million, not 5 million. We're talking about big money, because you were able to be very methodical and set your transactions up in a way that you have ownership. And as we like to say, ownership is what's really going to be the key mover in the end. And so that's why I was able to move in the way I like to move.
Are you looking for a community of like-minded individuals and access to experts in real estate?
Yeah.
Are you interested in real estate but need more support and guidance?
You know who it is?
The Black Real Estate Dialogue presents the Real Estate Investing Community. No matter how much or how little real estate experience you have, we've created a community for you because your perspective is important. All right, tell me, where's the #1 place where you can do Q&A with experienced guest speakers 2 times per month? How about unlimited access to past guest speakers' recordings? What about a private Slack channel to engage in daily discussion with everybody in the community to share resources and support each other? Head on over to blackrealestatedialogue.com. That's blackrealestatedialogue.com. It's the real estate investing community presented by the Black Real Estate Dialogue. Come join us today.
My mentor, Mr. Ron, I seen what he did. This guy loses a $100,000 job and it doesn't faze him.
Right.
So I always looked at having multiple streams of income. Right?
Yeah.
So, man, I mean that's the transition. Like,
absolutely.
Flipping can be good, but I think real estate is meant to be held. Right? Because if you have, let's say 50 properties, right, paying you, $1,000 a month, or hell, even if you want to say $500 a month, 50 properties, $500 a month, that's $25,000 a month, and you could be on the beach somewhere.
Right.
That's the game.
Definitely.
That's the game, man. So that's what spearheaded that transition.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what did it look like going from flipping to buying and holding?
What did it look like?
Yeah. So what was like your first buy and hold deal? What did that look like?
It was a duplex, and it was a duplex that I got for $12,000. It was interesting. My wife, who is now, we were dating at the time, and mind you, I was broke then. So I go to her and I was like, "Hey, I got this deal. It's $12,000. Like, do you want to go in?" So she said, "Yeah, I want in." And then it go time to sign the deal, And again, she never did real estate, so she was a little nervous, and rightfully so, right? And she must have, what she probably did was go back to her family and friends, right, and say, "Oh, the guy I'm dating," because we were only probably like 3 weeks in, right?
You're bold.
Yeah, and he wants me to go half with him. And of course, their mom and friends are probably like, "What? You crazy? Girl, you been holding on to your money, blah, blah, blah." So she basically backed out on me, right?
Yeah.
She backed out on me on that deal. So I ended up doing that whole deal myself because look, it was $12,000 deal. This property is worth like $180,000 right now. I did that deal all cash. I used some of the profits from the flips I were doing, right? And did rehab 1 unit at a time in that duplex. So I got that duplex for it was like for 12, I think I might have put like, between 45, 50,000 into it for the renovations, right? I know I was all in probably like 52,000 all in, right? On that yeah, about 52. So I did that all cash because I wasn't really conscious of hard money loans back then, man. And I had my private capital investors, but I'm leveraging them on the flips, not on the buy and holds, right? I'm just putting that money, flipping it back into my duplex. So that duplex, man, gives us, $1,700. And I mean, we had great tenants, and I mean, was one of our first rental properties. And to this day, we have grown that portfolio.
For sure. So I know back then, your girlfriend at the time and now wife, she kind of backed out. But what does she think of everything now? What's her perspective now?
Now my wife is a beast.
Yeah.
Listen, she has been so instrumental in helping to build this massive portfolio.
Yeah.
Her first property, not only does she put her some of her time, but also her capital, right?
Right.
So my wife, she works, has a job. I work, have a business in terms of I'm a GC. So how we do it right now is most of our rental portfolio is debt free. So
wow.
Basically 30% of our portfolio has mortgages, 70% free and clear, 30% have mortgages. And the way we were able to do that is leveraging our biggest investor, our business and our job, right? Again, my wife has a good job. She makes this money and she invests to help buy our first properties cash, right? And then our method is we buy one free and clear, and sometimes depending on the equity we have in it, we may do a refi and then buy 2 straight cash, no mortgages.
Right.
Doing that is about a 33% ratio. Right. You buy 1, 2 free and clear. Buy 1 straight cash, 2 and free and clear. Bang. That's how we've been growing this thing, man. And again, we use our jobs as our to spearhead these investments. Yeah, I would not be able to grow this portfolio without having a spouse, someone like my wife, on board that has bought in, right? And I tell people all the time, you get that first passive income check, and she got her first taste. Now she like, what are we doing now? She want to buy more. I'm like, yo, we okay. She like now she want to keep going because. It goes from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. nonstop, man. And it's great satisfaction. Another thing that about my wife, she loves helping people, right? So when we're able to, it's funny, man. When I first started to rehab, I would, I'm pretty cheap. Hey, I had a business called Frugal Deal. right. So listen, I had a business called Frugal Deal. So listen, I'm cheap, all right? So when I first started with my renovations, man, I wasn't doing whole gut outs, right? I would, leave the old doors. I was leaving the old trim, leave the old baseboards. You see what I'm saying? And I'm thinking like, man, it's a cosmetic rehab. I'm just gonna put some paint. I'm leaving the kitchen, the bath. I'm leaving everything, right? My earlier rehabs, right? So she come along and she got a different eye, and she makes me do better quality work, right? So now the people, when I say we were ever homeless, we will always have good quality to go into. That that's coming from my wife to help me put out a better product and push me to put out a better product. So not only is she instrumental again with putting up her capital, but also, helping me, giving me feedback on, hey, you should gut this kitchen out, or you should do this to make a good quality living for people.
For sure. For sure.
Because good housing living conditions, that breeds a good environment for the tenants, man. These tenants have kids and families, so we like to give them a good quality product.
For sure. And where does the portfolio stand now? About how many units are y'all at these days?
Yeah, I would say people ask me that question. I need more. It's a good amount though.
I feel you. Yeah. So you had a post that went viral the last week actually, and I saw it. I forgot what page I saw it on, but I reposted it on my page, and I got like probably 1,300 likes, and I'm like, I got to get this guy on the podcast. And the headline was brother buys 9 properties for his daughter before age 2. So can you talk more about that and just building that legacy for her?
Yeah, absolutely, man. So when my daughter's not 2 yet, should be 2 in May. Wow, time is flying.
They grow so fast, huh?
Yeah, it's fine, man. So when we had her in 2018, we thought like, man, wouldn't it be nice? Because at that point, we achieved financial freedom, right? So everything else after that is icing on the cake, right? So let's set our daughter up for wealth, right? So what we did, we opened up a LLC, based on her name, and also are earmarking each property, so each of the properties that we are purchasing, under her LLC, we're earmarking for her. Hence, father buys 9 properties. So between the period from the time that she was born to now, those, subsequent, those 9 properties in her name, in her business name, are going to be for her, and they're all earmarked under her name.
Wow, that's so powerful. I mean, that's so powerful. I don't think I've ever heard of something like that in our community, but I think it's amazing because, usually we hear about the 529 for college savings or setting up this account or that account, but to have like properties and cash flow waiting for child for when she gets older, I mean, I think that's incredible.
Yeah.
How did y'all determine that that's what you wanted to do as opposed to maybe some of the more traditional routes?
Well, listen, here's the thing. If she doesn't want to have this empire, this is going to be us. So, but we're going to expose her and start her at a young age about the assets versus liabilities, and have these charities, start showing these houses. These are assets. These produce X amount of dollars, right? Because if people and our children are taught at a young age that you don't always have to trade time for dollars, right? We'll probably have a lot more people investing. And I tell people all the time, you don't have to do real estate investing full time. I do this full time because I'm passionate about it. It's not work for me. I can do this all day. It's nothing for me, right? It's nothing. It's almost like an addiction almost.
Yeah.
And it's not even about the money anymore. I really get a high off turning an ugly house that looks like crap into something that is beautiful for people. providing great living conditions for people, you know, and I invest in urban communities, you know, and me and my wife, we want to provide good housing for people that may look like us, right? Like good housing. Yeah. Like, you know, like it's like you see some of these rehabs, you know, people say to me all the time, like, man, you doing all that in this area? You doing all that in this area? Yeah, I'm doing all that in this area. Yeah. You know, that's one, our way of giving back. And two is just doing right by people, man. And, you know, we have very low tenant turnover. You know, I did a post today that, you know, probably we were just thinking about this. Since we've been building this portfolio, we've had 2 people move out. And that's one amazing. Relocated out of state. You know, they don't want to move out on their own. They're relocating. Yeah. And no evictions.
Wow, that's incredible.
Hi everyone, Sam here from the Black Real Estate Dialogue. Make sure to hit that notification bell and that subscribe button and to visit us at blackrealestatedialogue.com.